Hello, horror stories. I finally decide to share my experience, an extremely mysterious story that has left me bewildered. Although it sends shivers down my spine to relive it, I feel the need to tell it so I don't feel so alone. And to this day, I haven't overcome it. I find no explanation for what happened that night. After listening to other stories on your channel, I understand that there is something beyond the unknown, which both comforts and terrifies me. My grandfather passed away a few years ago in abrupt and unexpected circumstances. He was relatively young, and we were very close. I practically grew up with him because we lived just about 10 kilometers apart in Missouri, United States, so we visited each other quite often. His memory persists in my daily life. I miss him a lot, but remember him with much happiness. A few years ago at night, the home phone rang, something strange in 2018 when hardly anyone uses it. As a precaution, we still had it connected. I thought it might be a salesperson or a survey machine, yet I answered. After a few seconds, a voice said, "Jose, I'm coming for a visit." When I asked who it was, their response sent chills down my spine. "You know who I am. I'll be there shortly," and hung up. In the depths of my heart, I knew whose voice it was, but I kept telling myself over and over that it couldn't be him. The night became denser and quieter as my mind struggled to comprehend the inexplicable. How could it be possible that the voice on the other end of the phone was my grandfather's, who had passed away years ago? Shivers ran down my spine as I refused to accept the truth. Still, an unsettling sense of presence engulfed the house, as if something else were lurking in the shadows. As minutes passed like years, fear and uncertainty consumed me, facing a darkness that transcended the supernatural. Every creak of the house echoed like a macabre whisper in the darkness. Meanwhile, the clock ticked away the hours slowly, as if time itself had stopped in anticipation of the unknown. My mind was filled with unanswered questions, and paralyzing fear enveloped me. What entity had called on the phone? Was it a cruel joke? The wait felt endless, while the aura of the supernatural thickened in the atmosphere, setting the stage for an encounter that would forever change my perception of reality. Suddenly, a frigid shiver ran down my body as I heard a soft but persistent tapping on the front door. My muscles tensed and my heart began to pound wildly in my chest. Should I open the door and face the unknown? Part of me screamed not to, that it was dangerous, but another part, perhaps driven by curiosity or hope, urged me to uncover the truth behind this macabre phone call. With hesitant and trembling steps, I approached the door and turned the knob slowly. Upon opening it, a gust of cold wind and impenetrable darkness greeted me. I swallowed hard, struggling against the fear that threatened to paralyze me. Then, in the dimness, I discerned a blurry figure. A dark silhouette stood out against the threshold, emanating an ominous presence that chilled my blood. Was it really my grandfather, or something more sinister hiding behind that ghostly form? With my heart in my throat, I prepared to face whatever awaited on the other side of the door, unaware of the dark revelation that was about to unfold. With each step forward, the air grew heavier as if an invisible force were trying to stop me. However, my determination outweighed my fear, and with one last breath, I crossed the threshold into the darkness. In that moment, a faint light illuminated the figure before me. A shiver ran through me as I recognized the familiar features of my grandfather, but his gaze was empty, lifeless. His presence, though familiar, exuded an aura of unease and danger. "Jose," he whispered with a hoarse, broken voice, but his words were interrupted by a deafening burst. Suddenly, the room filled with a thick, gloomy fog, and a sense of oppression enveloped me. Then, amidst the mist emerged a grotesque and distorted figure. Its eyes gleamed with a malevolent light, and its presence radiated an aura of pure malice. It was as if darkness itself had taken shape and manifested before me. Terrified, I instinctively recoiled, but an invisible force held me in place. My screams were muffled in the oppressive atmosphere as the creature approached slowly, unintelligible whispers filling my ears, and in that moment of despair, a familiar voice broke the silence. "Jose, wake up," my mother shouted from the other end of the house. With a start, I opened my eyes and found myself in my room, drenched in sweat and gasping for air. It was only then that I realized it had all been a dream, a nightmare so real it left me trembling with fear. But even as the dawn light dispersed the shadows of the night, a persistent sense of unease clung to me. What did that dream mean? Was it just a product of my imagination, or was something darker at play? With my heart still pounding in my chest, I promised myself that I would find answers, no matter how terrifying they might be. For in the world of the unknown, truth always lurks in the shadows, waiting to be discovered. As I recovered from the impact of the nightmare, a lingering chill gripped my skin, as if the shadows of my dream were still present in the room. My mind wrestled between reality and illusion, unable to fully discern what was true and what was fiction. Determined to shake off the terrors of the night, I rose from bed and made my way to the kitchen in search of something comforting. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee filled the air, but even its warm embrace couldn't completely dispel the sense of unease that haunted me. As I savored each sip, the memories of the nightmare slowly faded, but one question lingered in my mind. What had triggered that terrifying vision? I then recalled the phone call from the previous night, the echo of a familiar voice amidst the darkness. Could there be any connection between that experience and my dream? The idea left me unsettled, yet intrigued. I decided to investigate further, starting with the old home phone we still kept connected for security reasons. As I examined it, a sense of discomfort washed over me, as if the device itself held dark secrets. That's when I noticed something odd, a small crack in the phone's casing barely visible to the naked eye. Intrigued, I decided to open it up to inspect its interior more closely. What I found left me breathless, a burnt and worn-out circuit, as if it had been subjected to excessive use. But the most unsettling discovery was what I found inside. A note, written in shaky and barely legible handwriting. "Jose, I'm coming for a visit. I'll be there shortly." A chill ran down my spine as I read those familiar words. Could it be possible that the nightmare I had experienced was more than just a mere coincidence? That morning, I decided to tell my mother about it. The air grew thick as I shared with her the most terrifying nightmare mixed with reality. Her face paled at my words, and I could see the fear reflected in her eyes. With a trembling voice, she confessed that the previous day had been the exact date of my grandfather's death, marking 10 years since that tragic loss. I then showed her the handwritten note I had found on the phone, a piece of old, crumpled paper that I had never seen before. Her hand shook as she took the crumpled paper I handed her, her eyes scrutinizing each word with a mixture of disbelief and fear. The shaky letters on the paper seemed to resonate with an echo from beyond, as if they were my grandfather's voice trying to communicate with us from the other side. The air became charged with an ominous energy, as if we were being watched by something more than mere human eyes. I wondered if my mother would be ready to face the truth hidden behind this entire story. I couldn't comprehend what message her own father wanted to convey from beyond, nor what hidden secrets might be buried in our family's past. We decided it was time to begin our investigation. With determination in our hearts, we set out to uncover the truth behind the mysterious phone call, the chilling note, and the supernatural events that seemed to surround us. After a while, my mother got ready for work. She advised me to rest and occupy myself with something else, promising to talk later when she returned. After a few hours, when she came back home, I brewed a cup of tea for her, and we sat together on the dining room couch. We decided to kick off our investigation by going through the old family archives in search of clues to help us understand the situation. We spent hours examining old photographs, yellowed letters, and memories from the past, hoping to find some revealing hints. After hours of exhaustive searching through family mementos, we stumbled upon something unexpected. An old photograph showing my grandfather holding a phone, almost identical to the one we had kept connected at home. The image left us perplexed. Was it merely a coincidence, or was there a deeper significance behind this connection? Today, after a few years, the memory of that nightmare haunts us like a shadow. Although we try to move on with our lives, the mystery surrounding the phone call and the disturbing revelations found among the family memories continue to haunt us here. Despite our efforts to find answers, the mystery remains unsolved. Sometimes on dark and silent nights, I would find myself glancing furtively at the old phone in the corner of the room, wondering if it would ever ring again with a message from beyond. If you have enjoyed this story, we invite you to subscribe and activate the bell so you don't miss any others. Until next time.